Now, let's get to normal distributions and why we live in a simulation. So this is the normal distribution. You guys probably seen the shape before, but this is crazy because this shape of data is the same in many domains of nature. So for example, if you look at height of males in the Netherlands, heights of females in the Netherlands, I'm getting males because this is from a real study, you get, the shape of a real normal distribution. If you get the world IQ distribution, right? So like people's level of IQ, the vast majority of people will tend to have an IQ between 85 and 115. And then it's very difficult for you to find people above 115, even more difficult to find someone above 130. And that's real data. Look, for example, SAT scores in the United States in 2020, they also respect a normal distribution. That's fucking insane if you think about it, because it means that only a few people get an SAT score that's very, very high, and only a few people get an SAT score that's very, very low. Vast majority of people get an average SAT score, right? Look at this one. This one is actually pretty crazy. The length of housefly wings, so flies in your house, they have different lengths of wings, if you think about it. And this is what the data is pointing out as well. So even then, if you're a housefly, maybe you feel a little shitty. You're like, oh man, my wings are so short, man. But you're a minority there because the vast majority of flies have a wingspan that's like sort of like average. So they're like, yeah, man, I joined the club of average length, wings. Cool. This, and to give you a didactic example, if you didn't really get it, think about, the diversity in height that we have in, the human population in general. And just think about this, like probably this tall guy is there, then this short guy is probably there somewhere. I know he's famous. I don't know his name. Then this is Leo DiCaprio, and then he's probably slightly above average. And then you could plot everyone into this distribution, right? Like they're different faces. And there's, very few very tall people, very few very short people. Vast majority of people have an average height. Cool. That's the example. So the cool thing with this is that we can compare ourselves to the rest of the world. So for example, if you know your height, you can compare your height to the rest of the world. You can compare your IQ to the rest of the world. So if you have an IQ of 115, they're in the top 15% intelligence in the world. And like anyone below that, that's going to be 85% of the world will have an IQ below yours. And that's interesting to know. That's good for you to have some self-knowledge. Same for your height, same for even different languages. So look at this. Portuguese and Spanish, for example, you can see here, I speak Portuguese and Brazilian, like the average number of letters in a word in Portuguese is 9 to 10, as you can see here, right? Very few words in Portuguese have 16 letters. Very few words in Portuguese have 1 or 2 letters. The vast majority are going to have between 7 and 12 letters, which is very, very interesting. This is like pulled up out of a dictionary. So it's really like, living in a simulation. And like you can see the distributions for Portuguese and Spanish are quite similar because they're quite similar languages. But all languages respect a normal distribution in a different way, right? Some languages are slightly larger than others. Cool. It's okay. We live in a simulation. Are we hopelessly alone in the universe? Yes. But now that we know that we have these distributions, we can reverse engineer these distributions. Let me show you an example. So let's say you have a delivery time, right? So that's also true. Like if you're a delivery guy, the delivers pizza, sometimes you're going to see that out of all deliveries that you make, only a few of them are going to take a shit ton of time, and only a few of them are going to be quite fast. The vast majority are going to respect the same kind of average. So let's say this average is 60 minutes, right? Let's say it's 1 hour for the pizza to get delivered. Well, Bell-Sheets curves, they're measuring tools, right? They're like these protractors. So I don't know if you guys have seen these protractors, the tools they use to measure angles, right? You just put that on top of an angle, and then you know exactly what that angle is. So it's a measuring tool. It's like a ruler in a way. So normal distributions, they're like these protractors because, look, here we have our data, right? Here I have our histogram, okay? And here we have our normal distribution. This is a normal distribution that's not assigned to anything. It's just a shape, right? It's not assigned to any data specifically. Now, one thing we can do with this delivery time is get the histogram data and then sort of put this distribution on top of it. And then we can stretch it out or we can stretch it a little bit inwards until we find the perfect shape. And now we found the perfect shape, right? So think about a malleable ruler, like something like a rubber ruler that you can stretch out and stretch a little bit less if necessary. So now we found the right width, and we've sort of juxtaposed this, superimposed this shape on top of the histogram. And now we have this distribution. This distribution goes 30, 60, and 90 minutes. How do we find out? Well, because that's the data that was in the histogram before, right? This data was there the whole time. So just put that on top of there, and that's it. Cool. Now we can remove the data because we know exactly where the points of the histogram were. And now that we've removed, we can find some measures so we can replicate this later. Bear with me. I know this is a little complex, but bear with me.